Well, I've got Bill Brown, WB8ELK here, who is big into the Pico balloons and all that sort of thing. I see you posting stuff all the time. Bill, tell me, what have you got here at Huntsville?
Well, we've been flying high altitude balloons for many, many years. In fact, the sky is not the limit as far as amateur radio goes, because we send them up into the stratosphere, 100,000 feet or more. But lately I've been flying, those are usually 6-pound or under payloads. I've developed an APRS transmitter that's totally solar powered, that is small enough to fly on one of those foil happy birthday balloons. And so this is it. I call it the Sky Tracker. It weighs approximately 11 grams.
And
that's
a
a
super
complete.
thin
I
board
buy
there,
that
too.
from the board itself. I designed it in Eagle, and I hand soldered it all with a magnifying glass. My old tired eyes need a big magnifying glass nowadays. But
Tell me about what you've got on here.
I've got a GPS receiver. It's made by U-Blocks. That little white thing above the GPS receiver is actually a GPS antenna. And then I've got a Atmel 328 processor, the same as they use in the Arduino development systems. In fact, I use the Arduino development system to program this. And then I have a little DAC chip that produces the tones for APRS, 1200 baud tones at a 1200 baud rate. And then I have a synthesizer that produces a whopping 20 milliwatts of RF power on 2-meter band on APRS frequency. And it's at frequency agile, so if it flies far enough to go to Europe, it'll switch to the European APRS frequency. If it goes to China, it'll go to the Chinese frequency, and the same for Japan. So it's all frequency agile.
Where's your battery pack?
There is no battery pack. This is totally solar powered. I have 2 thin film power solar cells to run this. Looks like a little mini weather satellite, actually. And I'm using guitar string for the antennas, for the dipole antennas, the vertical dipole. And believe it or not, even though I'm competing with 50-watt APRS stations that are beaconing constantly in some major cities, 20 milliwatts is all you need, because it's a very short burst. And somebody at an altitude of where this flies, this particular one will fly around 30,000 feet. At that altitude, somebody somewhere is going to have a ground station that picks up the signal. I've designed this to be about 11 grams, which is light enough to fly on a party balloon, one of those big 36-inch Happy Birthday Mylar. I use a silver one because it's a little bit better for solar reflectivity. And how far do you think a party balloon would fly if you just let one go?
You know, that is a very good question, and I don't know the answer to that. I know the balloons that they fly around my area are much, much bigger than that, and they only get a few hours out of them. What can you get out of a party balloon?
One of the first flights I've done, launched from my backyard in Huntsville, Alabama, flew for 6 days, crossed the Atlantic in 32 hours, and ended up in Sweden.
Wow.
And it was all tracked by APRS stations. In fact, a Swedish ham magazine did a little story on it because they noticed it pop up near Stockholm. And then I flew another one that went to Morocco and made it as far as the Middle East. And several other people are flying different designs like this. There's probably a dozen of us around the world that are designing micro trackers like this. And some have actually gone around the world.
So I guess it's primarily going to be operating during the day since it's solar powered.
Only is daytime only. But that, by eliminating the batteries, you really save on the weight. Although I do have a small LiPo battery that I can put on there. It weighs about 4 grams. It'll fly at a much lower altitude, but it'll work for a few hours at night after sunset.
And you're talking, just so we got scale in mind here, you're just talking about one of these kind of flat pillow-shaped.
Yeah, a flat pillow-shaped party balloon that cost about $3 and about a cubic foot of helium. Just one of those little party balloon tanks that you can buy at the stores at Dollar General or Walmart. They're about 25 bucks for one of those tanks. We'll fly 2 or 3 of these missions. So, but this is, I call this the Sky Tracker, and it'll also do HF. I can do whisper with this mode. And all I have to do is change the programming on the synthesizer and the output filter, and I can run 20 meter whisper, 20 milliwatts. And I've flown this on a balloon as well, and you can get tracking clear across the ocean in real time. And it was actually heard on the other side of the world in Perth, Australia during one of the flights on 20 milliwatts. But it's amazing what you can do with super QRPP. I call it QRPPP.
That is super low power and super lightweight.
Yeah.
So what do you think it cost you to put one of these rigs together and to fly it, the whole expense?
The biggest cost, of course, is in the board and the components. It's over $100 for this part. But the big savings, when you do a regular latex high-altitude balloon flight, you're paying about $120 for a large weather balloon.
Yeah.
But you get your payloads back. In this case, our balloon weighs $3. So you're saving on the cost of the balloon itself, but you may not get this back if it ends up in Sweden or some other part of the world or the ocean. So I've lost quite a number of them in the ocean.
Well, Bill, that's amazing. How often do you do this?
Probably about a couple times a month.
Oh, that often?
Mm-hmm. And I've been doing a lot of test flights of the new and refining my design.
So I know other people are going to want to track this when you launch one. Where can they go to get the information and know when the launches are going to be and what frequencies and modes to use?
An announcement page called arhab.org, arhab.org, and that's where a lot of people post their flights when they go up. And my website is wb8elk.com. And I can post some information there as well. But if you go to the regular APRS tracking sites like aprs.fi and you enter WB8ELK dash whatever number, you can do an asterisk and see what flights are current. This one's going to be -3 when it goes up sometime this week. I was going to fly it today at the Huntsville Hamfest, but we have a lot of liquid sunshine today, and it doesn't take much to negate the 3 grams of lift, because that's all I have on this is about 3 grams of lift. So once the balloon gets wet, it's going to come down. We had a flight about 2 weeks ago where it was going through clouds and it would go up and down in altitude. It was bobbing up and down like this. But it finally did achieve its float altitude and headed out to the Atlantic.
Wow. So if you launch one of those party balloons, it's no telling where it may end up eventually.
Well, we had one go west. This time of year, the jet stream can loop around, and we had one go from, I launched one from Texas, and it went clear to California.
Wow.
It was last heard over Baja, California.
Well, Bill, I appreciate you showing this to us. It's really amazing that you can take something this small, this lightweight, design it all yourself, build it yourself. It's got GPS, all these other modes of data and tracking on it. Doesn't take a battery, and you're going to fly it on just a little Mylar party balloon.
And they'll stay up for a week or more.
Wow. All right. Thanks, Bill.
Been a pleasure.